excited. I'm sitting down with Duchess, Princess, the queen of Comic-Con, actually, to be fair. Tiffany Smith, hello.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. I love that intro. Can everyone just intro me?
Yes.
From now on?
I mean, yes, you've played these characters, and you are the queen of Comic-Con. You moderate a lot of panels at Hall H, including at this convention you were doing one with a very famous face and body of work. Tell us what you're doing on Hall H.
So the first time, this year I'm moderating the Hall H panel for Berserker. So that's Keanu Reeves' comic with Boom, and there's a whole bunch of cool stuff we're going to be announcing. That's on Saturday, actually, in Hall H. And then on Friday, I'm moderating the Alien Romulus panel in Hall H as well.
Let's talk about Hall H, because this is like the biggest stage in the nerd world. What is it like from your perspective to look out and see all those eyes?
So it's one of those things where it's like, hosting things. At some point, the number of people there doesn't matter. It's just like, am I connecting with everybody up on stage with me? Is everyone having a good time? Especially in Hall H, you can't see the way back, which is really nice. Because if you think too much about the fact that there's 6,000 people in there, it's a lot. But the first time I did it, I guess it was 2 or 3 years ago. I had always told myself, I was like, I want to be on a panel in Hall H before I moderate a panel in Hall H. And so that year, on Thursday, I was on a panel for Masters of the Universe in Hall H for Andra, the character I play in the next Netflix show. And then the next day, I got to stay in Hall H and watch the Lord of the Rings panel, and I moderated a thing afterwards with some of the cast. And then the next day, I moderated the Warner Brothers panel in Hall H. So it was a good little progression, and I was like, man, that was awesome. I got to do it exactly how I wanted to. First acting, and then to moderating.
I'm going to rename you the Queen of Hall H.
I mean, I accept. I will fully accept on the day when I'm here for a TV show or film and I'm on the panel acting for Hall H. That's the next goal.
I love that. Tell me what it's like backstage. You're going to be there with Keanu Reeves. Does someone like Keanu get nervous?
I mean, so I've interviewed him a couple of times. I actually had to sit down and think about it. And I was like, I went to Tokyo for a premiere and interviewed him there. And then I actually, a couple of years ago, before the first Berserker comic book came out, it was Comic-Con at home, and I interviewed everybody who was working on Berserker on Zoom. So I've interviewed him a couple of times, but I think it's one of those things where it's like, everyone's excited to be there because they're getting to share something that they're pumped about, and it's the perfect audience for it. So backstage for me, it is a little frantic just because everyone's like making sure everyone's ready to get on stage, that the video's ready to go. But I think something that helps with it is like, I actually just came here from a rehearsal for the Berserker panel. So at least in my experience with Hall H, I don't know every Hall H panel does this, but either the day before or the night before, you'll have a rehearsal and just kind of go over everything that's going to happen for tech and all that kind of stuff. And I think that kind of alleviates a lot of the nerves.
Well, talking about things that you're passionate about, what is your fandom?
Oh my gosh. So many things. I'm like, well, I have a Lord of the Rings elvish tattoo, so that's definitely one of my fandoms. I love genre. Anything genre for me is what I will gravitate towards. I mean, I think specifically I've been nerding out about grounded emotional things, but with a sci-fi bent to them. So anything that's like that, whether it's like Last of Us or Star Trek or any of those kind of things, that's the stuff that really pumps me up.
I love that. You also have some projects that are grounded sci-fi. Talk to me about those.
So, I mean, I feel really lucky that I've gotten to do acting and hosting kind of in this genre space that I love. And the most recent thing that I'm working on is a anthology film. I did a short film with Mark Bernardin called Splinter that was so much fun to do. We just had a blast on set. That after that wrapped, Mark and I were talking recently and we were just like, hey, what's the next thing we can do together? So we came up with this idea. The anthology is called Deepest Darkest. And we were bringing in a bunch of our friends to write shorts that are all centered around this character, Tara, that I played in Splinter. And I don't want to say too much, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, I feel very lucky that a lot of the people that have become my friends are also incredibly talented writers. So we have people who, like Derek Hughes, who did Quantum Leap. He's writing and directing one. And then obviously Mark Bernardin is writing and directing. So it's a lot of people that I don't want to say everybody will definitely start rolling out who's working on it with us. But it's just going to be so much fun for me because, like I said, working with friends who are insanely talented and getting to play this character that I really like, I'm really, really excited about it.
You are a voice actor, a on-screen actor, a host. You're doing everything. What is the next venture or field that you're going to dive into?
I mean, I feel like things just kind of present themselves where I'm like, okay, how can I go this direction? Like during the pandemic, I did a voiceover job for an audio drama with a friend named Jonathan Pezza, and it's called The Curious Matter Anthology. So I did a voice on season 2 of that. And then season 3 rolled around and he reached out to me and was like, hey, how would you feel about producing this with me and doing the lead voice on it? And I said 100% yes. Because he does their sci-fi novels that are public domain and then adapts them for audio drama. So for this one, it's based off of Police Your Planet by Lester Del Rey. And Jonathan's such an incredible writer, such an incredible editor, where it's like he does binaural sound. So it feels like when you have headphones on that everything is happening all around you. So producing that has been really exciting and different for me, working on the creative side, but then also from that getting to actually voice direct some, which has been really, really fun, and voicing the lead character. But it's cool because, I mean, just going back to working with your friends where it was like, I signed on for the project and then was like, okay, let's talk about casting. And I got to get so many of my friends who, again, happen to be amazingly talented, like Malcolm Barrett's in it, Trisha Helfer, Kevin Smith. I'm trying to think, there's so many people that we got it. But it was just one of those things where it's so awesome to see that when you're working on something that's cool and people trust you, that you can reach out and they'll show up for you. And so we have 4 episodes out now, anywhere you listen to podcasts. So go check it out. I really love it. It's a crime noir set on Mars.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for chit-chatting with us, telling us all of the secrets of Hall H.
Yes, come to Hall H. It's nerd mecca.
If someone's never been to Hall H, what is that feeling like?
I mean, I feel like it's going to the biggest concert you've ever been to, or just that feeling where everyone is there to experience and be excited about the same stuff. So it's such a good vibe and such good energy. I think that's something too that makes some of those nerves go away, because you know everyone is there supporting each other and wanting to have a good time. And then once it starts, it's literally like a concert, because you're just like, everyone's in the same space. It's just good vibes, and it's amazing.
Let's talk about some of your current projects, because in addition to moderating in Hall H, you also are promoting some projects here.
Yeah, so I think for a lot of creatives over the last couple of years, we've kind of like pushed out into every direction where we can, and just to be able to keep creating. So one of the things that I did was I did a lot of short films with friends. So one of the ones that I did is called The Power Within. It's with my friend Kelsey McDonald and Bo Youngblood, who Bo directed the short. And then after that, I actually ended up doing a feature film with her called In Flight. But The Power Within, we are doing a screening here at Comic-Con on Saturday and a Q&A afterward. So I'm really, really excited about that.
Oh, that's amazing. What's it about?
So it is a bunch of women who are trapped in some kind of an asylum, and you don't know if they have superpowers or not. You'll have to see it to find out. But again, it's one of those things where it's like you get to do one project, and from that project comes other stuff, where it's like Christo Fernandez was a part of that short. So the feature, he's a part of that as well. Kelsey is also in the feature. And so it's nice to get to continue to work with people when you find like a groove that works.
Can you tell us the top Hall H moments that you have witnessed?
The top Hall H moments. I mean, well, 2 come to mind. Walking out, having Kevin Smith introduce me and walking out on stage in Hall H was a highlight for me for sure, because, you know, growing up being a nerd and just being a part of this world and getting to work with Kevin before this and then having him be the person to intro me on stage felt amazing. My mom is so sweet. They didn't come that year, but my mom was like, I watched it online and I cried as soon as you started walking on stage. So now I'm always like, Mom, don't cry if you come to my thing. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Mom, you cried watching a video of me walking on stage. She's like, you're right. So that was one highlight. And then I think being in Hall H for the Lord of the Rings Amazon panel was insane, just because I hadn't been in there for a panel that big, where it's like they had monitors, all like, I say monitors, but they were like full wall-sized screens that had so much stuff on them. And just like the music came and it's like your whole body vibrates like from the sound. It was just incredible. And I used to read the books every year growing up. I'm a huge fan of the movies. So it was that was probably a super, super highlight for me, being in there for that panel.